In this video we will show one useful tool we use in JOSM, the split way tool. With the split way, we can split a way, open or closed, in two or more ways. The reasons to split a way can be many. We will see just some examples that will cover the majority of the situations. Let's start with a simple example on how to cut an open way in two pieces. Here we have a road in the outskirts of Yamoussoukro, capital city of the Ivory Coast. If we select it, we can see that it is tagged as unclassified, but it lacks the surface info. Checking carefully, we can see that it is a paved road. Until this point here, where it becomes unpaved. Suppose we want to add the surface information to this road. In that case, we will need to split the way in two different ways, one way covering the area where it is paved, and the other way covering the unpaved area. Sometimes we have a node already at the point where we will split the way. But in many cases we will have to add a node ourselves, before proceeding to split the way, like in this case. To add a node, we can switch to the Draw mode, shortcut A, and double-click on the location where we want to add the new node. As an alternative, we could add the node in Select mode, shortcut S, using the plus sign that we have in the middle of the segment of the way that passes over our split point. Now, to split the way, we need first to select the node. Then we go to Tools in the JOSM menu. And we click on Split Way. But much easier is to use the P shortcut. When we hit the tool, if the way we are splitting is a way that is already in the JOSM database, JOSM will open a window asking us which of the new ways will retain the history of the old way, therefore becoming a new version of the old way, and which one will be created as new way. In our case it suggests us to keep the history in the paved side of the road, that would have now 22 nodes, and making the unpaved side as a new way of 4 nodes. To see better which way is the one to keep the history, we see that JOSM highlights the way with red lines on both sides of the way. Normally, we will accept the suggestion, unless we have a reason to keep the history on another way resulting from the splitting. In this case we will accept the suggestion. We can see that the old way has been split in 2 ways. Now we can add the surface information to each of the ways. To do it fast, we will do it directly in the Tags window. We add the paved value to the way at the south. And we add the unpaved value to the way to the north. We will see now another similar example, but this time we will split an open way in 3 pieces, instead of 2. Let's move to Tianarmé, a little town in the north of Mali, on the Niger River bank. We can see that the RN17 primary road passes by this town to the east. We see also that it traverses a river with a bridge here. But the bridge is not yet mapped, so we will have to split the road in 3 pieces, in order to add the bridge to the map. First of all, we will add 2 nodes to the RN17, one at each end of the bridge. We change to the Draw mode, shortcut A, and we double-click on each location. We change now to the Select mode, shortcut S, and we select both nodes holding down the Control key. Now, we can hit the P key shortcut to split the road in 3 pieces. As with the previous example, JOSM suggests us one of the new ways, the one with 65 nodes at the north, as the way to keep the history. And we accept the suggestion. So we can see that we have now 3 different ways, instead of 1. We need only to add the information to the bridge, to tell it is a bridge and that it's in a layer over the river line. We will do that directly in the tags window. We first select the bridgeway. We go to the tags window, and we hit the Add button. Then, we add the bridge tag, with yes as value. And we add the layer tag, with 1 as value. Now, we will see how to split one circular way. As we see, the riverbank in this area is not finished yet, so we could split the riverbank way in these 2 nodes, delete this way segment, and then continue tracing the riverbank to complete it. Selecting the riverbank, we can also see that it covers a quite big area, consisting of 885 nodes. Let's split the way. We first need to select those 2 nodes of the way. Bear in mind that, if we wanted to split the way in only 1 node, JOSM would tell us that this is not possible, with this warning here. So, with closed ways we need to select at least 2 nodes. We select the nodes holding the Control key. Now, we hit the P key to split the riverbank way in 2 pieces. JOSM will suggest to keep the history on the riverbank way of 885 nodes, that is the correct thing to do. So we can safely hit the OK button to split the way. We can check that the way is actually split in 2 ways. Now, we select the segment we want to delete and we hit the del key. Now we change to the draw mode, shortcut A, and we proceed to complete the riverbank, as with any circular way. Another example would be splitting the residential area of this village further south, that we want to extend at its northern end, to include these dwellings here. The process is very similar to the previous one, so we show it without commenting. To end with this tutorial, we will see what we need to do when we want to split a way in 2 pieces, but when the node we will use to split is shared by 2 or more ways at the same time. Let's imagine, for example, that this street in the city of Bangui, Central African Republic, had a different name in the northern side of this avenue, like for example Rue de la Liberté, and another name in the southern leg, like for example Rue de la Paix. If we just selected the node and we hit the P shortcut key to split the street, JOSM will tell us that there is more than one way using the node we have selected to split a way. And that's actually the case, because that node belongs to the street but also to this avenue crossing the street from east to west. So, in this case, we need to select not only the node, but also the way we want to split, before we apply the tool. We select the node and the way, and then we hit the Split Way tool. We can see that the street has been divided in two different ways. Now, we can add the names to each of the streets. We do that directly inside the tags window.